It's a good run as well. He might go all the way. That's a quite outstanding goal. And then Sterling is fouled and the referee's given a penalty. And takes it and scores it. And it might be 3 years. Oh, what a mistake. Bruyne plays it in. City will score the new. Crosses of beauty. And Sterling and Gundogan. Comfortable around the back and Sterling makes it 3. Now City have it with Torres, he's in the box and he scores! Jesus darting in, shouts the dummy, hits the shot, scores the goal! He tees up the shot and it's gone in beautifully from João Cancelo! Oh, it's Sterling, one of them and pretty good in Ake and then Aguero! He's back and he's scoring goals!
These are the nights we live for as City fans. The quarter-finals of the Champions League, taking on the best Europe has to offer under the Etihad lights. We've been here before and stumbled, but difficulties mastered are opportunities won. This year it feels different, fighting on 4 fronts, record-breaking form. So I say, Borussia Dortmund, bring it on. Welcome to We're Not Really Here. I'm Natalie Pike, and on nights like this, with games of this magnitude, you need strong leaders. So we had to get Andy Morrison and Paul Dickov to join us for tonight's show. But before we chat to the gents, we've got to take a quick look straight away at the team news. Now, there was lots of changes for Saturday's win against Leicester, so we don't know what team to expect tonight. So, let's have a look and find out now. So, your starting 11 for tonight's Champions League quarter-final is, in goal, it's Ederson. Then we have Cancelo, Diaz, Stones and Walker. Then moving into midfield, we have Rodrigo, Gundogan, Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden, and Riyad Mahrez. Now, we're also going to give you the subs. Bear with me, it's Champions League night, so there is a lot of subs, which means a lot of options as well. And you've got Stefan, James Trafford, Ake, Laporte, Zinchenko, Mendy, Garcia, Fernandinho, Ferran Torres, Raheem Sterling, Gabriel Jesus, and Sergio Aguero. So that is your starting 11 and all of your substitutes for tonight's quarter final of the Champions League. How are you all feeling? My stomach has been jumping with nerves since I woke up this morning. Felt a bit better though when I got here and spoke to Andy and Paul, especially Paul, who is the, as you all know, the eternal optimist and always puts me at ease. But let's have a quick look now, a bit of a chat about this team news. Now I'm going to come straight across to Andy as the current manager on the panel. What do you think Pep was thinking with this starting 11 tonight, Andy?
Well, I think whatever team he puts out, when we look at the bench, I think it's strong. We're not weakening ourselves in any way. So it's a great balance. It's similar to what we've seen this season already. There's no surprises. It'll just be which one is playing as the 9, which there'll be rotations. So, but I'd expect to see De Bruyne as a kind of a free row in between a 9 and a 10. But yeah, great balance, and there's obviously security in Rodri and Gundogan, and great balance at the back. So it's strong, and it always is going to be strong, no matter what 11 we start with.
Yeah, and it's difficult. We talk about it a lot on this show in terms of what are our personal favourite starting 11s. I have to say, though, for me, this is my favourite starting 11 that we have currently based on form and the way they're playing and the way they play together. Now, I've talked before, I absolutely love it when Bernardo Silva and Mahrez play together, for example. Do you have a favourite starting 11? Is this close to it, Paul?
It changes every week. You think you've got your favourite starting 11, then Pep makes a couple of changes in the team, as Andy said. It looks as strong, and the transition from game to game, it's seamless at times. The players coming in, they all know what they're doing. But I think that this team is the team that probably played a majority of the games in that 23 match winning run. And as you said, you look at the bench, and just strong all over. And it's interesting, every time I see the team without an actual number 9 in there, we all wonder who's going to be the false 9. You know, there's probably 4 or 5 players in there. Obviously Kevin's played there, Phil Foden, Bernardo can go in there, Mahrez, even Gundogan's been in there sometimes, you know, and it's that rotation between the 5 of them that causes people so much problems, because at any given time it could be any one of the 5 that's in that position that, you know, Andy will tell you, it must be a nightmare to defend against.
Yeah, how do you do that, Andy, if you've got so many players on the pitch that are capable of scoring? And like Paul says, I mean, I'm even going to throw Cancelo in there. I feel like he could be a false 9 one of these days because he can do everything. When so many players that can score world-class goals, how do you even go about trying to defend that?
I think there's been some incredible managers this year who have come up short and been found out and made to look, you know, slightly silly at times with how good City have been, and managers who have been at the very top for a long, long time. You look at what we've done to Everton, and it's difficult. It is. You know, I think everyone has ideas. They have thoughts about what they're going to go, how they're going to go about it, but. You know, then City turn up and they play the way they do, with the intensity, the pace, and when they're at it, it's very hard to stop. You know, the weight of the pass, the pass to the right side, the right foot, the movements. When they're spot on, it's almost impossible to stop, and it really comes down to the finishing. Everything is decided by how clinical we are at that final moment, because again today there'll be 5, 6, 7, 8 chances, and if we're as clinical as we can be, we've seen the results in the past, the 6, 7, 8s. It rarely happens, but you know, it's about us in those final moments, because the process to get there doesn't change with the personnel.
And also with your defender's head on, now we are going to talk about him a little bit later in the show, which of course Erling Haaland. We're also going to talk about his dad, who you both played with and know. With your defender's head on, looking at that back 4 there, so Cancelo, Ruben Diaz, John Stones, Kyle Walker, best defence in Europe for me currently this season. You know, especially when you're looking at, you know, Diaz and Stones in that partnership. Mm-hmm. What do you think in terms of those 4? What were they thinking today, thinking last night, when they know that they're going to be coming up against, you know, Erling Haaland, you know, Europe's most in-demand striker?
I think, you know, listen, players have their own egos, and players want to be recognised and they want to be challenged, and they're going to know about this young kid who's been on the block now for 2 or 3 years, and he's been ripping it up. But as a defender and somebody who wants to make their mark, you know, you take a Diaz and John Stones as well, who's slightly older, they'll be thinking about that last night. You know, how am I going to stop this lad? Where's his strength? Which way does he turn? What's his movements like? You know, they'll have studied him, and such will be the depth and the passion to conquer him, because that's how they'll see it, and that's how it has to be at any level of football. You've got to win these individual battles, and they'll be up for it, because Diaz will want to be recognised as one of the outstanding centre-halves in world football. To do that, he nullifies Haaland tonight, and it's another little notch on his bed.
I think what Andy's basically saying is just leave one on him early doors and see how he reacts to that.
No, we can't do that anymore, Paul. You know, and that's a massive thing again. You know, at this stage of the tournament, the discipline. You know, one crazy decision, one poor decision can be catastrophic. You know, not that we can make it up in the league. Everybody's got to be at the top of their game. The discipline must be spot on, because we must finish the game with 11 players to give them maximum opportunity.
And I believe that Erling Haaland himself is only 1 yellow card off missing the next game, so himself he's going to have sharp discipline. Looking forward though into our midfield area, Paul. We were sort of talking, the 3 of us, waxing lyrical before the game about Rodri and about how good we all agree that he's been this season, but also underrated. And he really seems to just do his job and just carry on. We think he's great, don't we?
Yeah, he's been outstanding. I think especially over the last sort of 3 to 4 months, and you know, talk about the defensive record. You know, he's pivotal in that. You know, because if the full-backs are going to bomb on, as we know they love to do, sometimes it can leave the 2 centre-halves a little bit exposed how we play. But he just sits in there, bobs in to make it a back 3 at times, protects the back 4 unbelievably well. His game management's outstanding. You know, when he does win the ball back, he very rarely gives it away. And look, early last season, it took him a little bit of time to settle, but you can see what a player he's going to be now. And he's, as I said, he's pivotal. Easy for me to say pivotal about how Pep wants to play, because we all talk about the De Bruynes, the Gundogans, the fantastic forward players we've got. He's the one that sits in there that puts out fires left, right and centre that other players can't do.
And as we know, of course, you can't second guess a Pep Guardiola team. So let's hear from the man now and see if he's going to give us any little nuggets.
Pep, nice to see you. Look, a Champions League quarter-final is huge for any team. Is there a sort of an added pressure on your side this season, I should say, given the previous few seasons where it's been heartache?
The same. To try to do a good game, to win this game, and after next one, All the clubs when they start the Champions League want to go as far as possible. We are not an exception. We are here again. We're going to try to do a good game to win, and next week fly to Germany and win that game too.
Have you talked about it as a team? The fact that the last 3 years have been quite difficult and that you want to get to that next stage?
They know it.
You don't need to say a word.
They want to win like all the club, but Borussia Dortmund want to win too. So past is the past. We are here, happy to be here again, and try to do a good game.
5 changes to the side that beat Leicester, of course. That game you started with a recognised centre forward. You've gone back to playing with a false 9 today. Is that any particular reason for sort of setting up like this against this Dortmund side?
No, we want have the ball and try to attack, arriving as much as possible, people in the box, and to do our game. We spoke just 5 minutes about the game, so let's do what we have done this year, especially the last 4 or 5 months, and that's all. So, and football will dictate for themselves. So, let's play human beings against human beings, and human beings make good things, bad things, so mistakes, good actions. So, just to try to do our best, and after we'll rest Leeds, and after we're going to travel to Germany to win the game again.
You've had 7 clean sheets in the Champions League, which is really impressive in your last few games. Today you're up against Erling Haaland. He's a player who's fast, he's ruthless, he's fearless, he's a very dangerous player, but you've got a great defensive record. Is he someone that you particularly plan for?
No, absolutely not. So do our game. Players know how good it is, all the strikers and the other ones do our game. This is what you have to do.
Good luck, enjoy it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Absolutely love that from Pep. No, we just play our game. And that's just so true, isn't it, Andy? We don't need to change our game for him because we've got the best defence in Europe.
Yes, of course, he's obviously saying the obvious, but the players will be aware. You know, they'll have done work this week. They'll be aware of his movements. They'll be aware of his specific strengths. There'll definitely be patterns in the way he'll turn or the movements that he'll make, and they've got to be aware of that. And of course, just be mindful of those final moments, making sure that they're looking after him. But it is about Sid. It's about their game, and nothing changes. And when you're on the form and the run that the club have been on, why would you want to change it? Keep mastering what you're doing, and being as clinical as you can in them final moments. And if it's meant to be, it'll be.
I love it when Andy comes on the show and talks about patterns because I always learn so much. So we'll pick this up at half-time and full-time. You can tell me what you've spotted there. Right, we are, of course, playing Borussia Dortmund tonight in the quarter-final of the Champions League. So let's take a look now at their starting 11. So in goal, they have Heights, and then Murray, Akanji, Emre Can, Hummels, Guerrero, Bellingham, Dahoud, Kauf, Royce and Erling Haaland. So that is the starting 11 for Borussia Dortmund. And of course, a name that we may have seen, Jadon Sancho, he is not playing, he is injured. Now, we've mentioned Erling Haaland quickly there, but anybody else in that team that stands out for you, Paul, that we should be looking out for?
I think the obvious one, especially after his England performance last week when he came on, is young Jude Bellingham. You know, for somebody that's only 17, he looks more or less the complete midfielder at the minute. But you know, they're a strong team. I know their form in the Bundesliga has not been great. You know, they're 7 off the Champions League, but any team, and it's the obvious thing to say, that's got a goal scorer that scored 32 goals in 33 games this season is going to be a threat. They've got experience, Marco Reus, Mahmoud Dahoud in midfield, box to box, very energetic. So it's going to be a tough game, but I just feel that as good as they are going forward, you know, that defensively, I know Hummels has been outstanding for years now, that they're really suspect because they do, especially in Bundesliga, they concede a lot of goals. But, you know, as Andy keeps saying, in cup competitions, you know, you're going to have to beat your very, very best concentration levels because, look, previous years when we've not went on to qualify, it's been individual errors and lapse of concentration that's cost us. But the great thing for me is this season, that doesn't seem to be happening.
Yeah, Stephen McInerney, obviously, who's been on this show, did a great video on his YouTube channel that I watched today with a Dortmund fan talking about their season, and I learned loads about them. And one thing he particularly said, and it's him talking about his own club, was that their defence has been really shaky this season, and that is the weakness in their team. So hopefully, with the the calibre that we've got up front and a shaky defence, it's going to play into our hands, Andy.
Well, yeah, logically, but it doesn't always work that way. As I've been a huge fan of Hummels for many years. As a centre half, the way he carries himself, he doesn't get exposed. Normally, when a player doesn't get exposed as a centre half, then they're normally playing a little touch deep. So I'd imagine that as his age has gone, he started to drop in a little bit like Nico did, and Otamendi later in his career began to go a bit deeper, and that pulls other people back. Then you start to get the spaces between the midfield, and that's where we're at our very best, in them little pockets between the midfield and the back four. So I think they'll be really aware, Hummels, that he'll need to keep a high line. And then it's how we utilise diagonal balls, which we're very good at. When a team do squeeze, we have other ways of breaking them down.
As Paul mentioned, they're not in great form at the minute. They lost in their last game 2-1 at the weekend. They've also only won one of their last 5 in all competitions. So certainly they are not in form, but it's the Champions League. They're not in the Champions League positions in their own league at the minute. So we know that this is going to be key for them. That fan that I listened to on YouTube today was saying that it will be catastrophic if they don't qualify for the Champions League. So this is a huge opportunity for them tonight, and we need to be really careful.
Yeah, it is. It's a huge game for them, but it's a huge game for Manchester City as well. And like a lot of teams coming to the Etihad, they might see it as a little bit of a free hit, because not a lot's expected of them. I think every man and his dog's probably looking at it and thinking it's going to be a comfortable Manchester City win, as I always do.
Yes.
But sometimes when you've got a game like this and you're the underdogs, you can play with a little bit more freedom. You can relax a little bit, because I doubt even the Dortmund fans, even people behind the scenes at Dortmund, will be expecting to come here and get anything tonight. But that can be a danger in itself sometimes, because you go out and you play with a lot more freedom without the pressure of the Bundesliga. We try to get into the Champions League. That can affect you sometimes, whereas there's not really a lot of pressure on them tonight.
Now, perhaps one man that does have pressure, given the fact that he's pretty much talked about by everybody in European football at the minute, is, of course, Erling Haaland. So we will have a little chat about him in terms of what do you guys make of him as a player and the threat that he's going to bring tonight, Andy?
He's an outstanding individual. He has pace and power. His movement's very clever. His movement at the final moment across defenders, which normally comes with age and experience, is right there now. And, you can only describe him as a beast. He's 6'2", he's built and incredibly powerful. But as I alluded to earlier on, it's just made for Diaz and John Stones. They want to be people after the game, want to be talking about them, and that's where the egos are huge at this level, and it'll be a big game. But yeah, his stats are incredible. He's got everything that a striker needs, and there's a belief in him as well, and we're going to have to make sure we squash that tonight.
Those stats, Paul. You're a striker. You must be looking at those and drooling.
I didn't score that many in my career. Never mind in a season. So, I think he's world class already. And to think he's only 20 years old is just scary. As Andy said, he's a beast. But the thing I like about him the most is that he scores all sorts of goals. You see the goals that he scored this season. There's headers in there. There's shots on 20 yards, left foot, right foot. He likes going in with the touch. And you can tell that he thrives on scoring goals, and he's got that, as a lot of strikers, the top strikers have. He's selfish, when he gets in their positions, he wants to score goals. And as I know we're saying about John Stones and Ruben Diaz thinking last night, we'll show him who's best. He'll be thinking that as well, because that's the mentality he's got. A lot of people talking about where he's going to go next year, so he'll want to come here and show everybody, put in a statement against one of the best teams in Europe.
Now, just in case everybody watching is wondering where we are, apologies, Andy, just want to let everybody know, we are in Manchester. We know the sun is absolutely blasting down on us all of a sudden, and it must be because we are blessed to be here today. We are in the CFA. You might be able to see the Etihad over my shoulder, around there somewhere. But yes, the sun is absolutely blasting in here in Manchester.
Can I just say, though, it's not as warm as it looks. Big Andy's just wrestled a polar bear in the corner there, and a couple of penguins have just ran past out here. So,
Nat, can I just go back to that? What we were talking about earlier on, and we were talking about, Stones and Diaz taking care of Haaland. On the flip side of it, you've got possibly the informed player in world football in De Bruyne. What's De Bruyne think going into this game with Haaland? Is he going to steal the limelight, or am I going to rise up today and you're going to be talking about me? I know the character of Bernardo Silva, incredibly strong. They're thinking all these things. This is the importance of that warrior inside players on match days. You see it in different ways. Of course, defenders, but I guarantee you that Kevin De Bruyne tonight will be saying, you're going to be talking about me after this game, not about Haaland.
I feel like what you're saying is that how yourself, both of you, I imagine, would have reacted in the past playing games, coming up against players like that, thinking, I'm going to show you.
Yeah, you did, and that was the mentality I had. It was Andy. The better the opposition or the better the player you came up against, you wanted to raise your game, because not saying that you didn't want to look stupid playing against them, but you wanted to test yourself all the time. And I know if I was going into a game and there was, a few occasions where I was going for top goal scorer with the opposition centre forward, and all in my head was that I want to score more goals than them today. You want to be the best you can, and it's the mentality, not just with Kevin, Bernardo, Phil Foden, European quarter-final, Champions League quarter-final, best young player in Europe. People are saying Haaland, he'll want to show them that he is as well, as a number of the team will, and that's what makes them the best players. Right throughout the team, they'll be going into this big stage, Champions League quarter-final. We've not made it to the semis for a few years. Let's go and show everybody how good we are.
Love that. I love that, and I could totally see you doing that, Andy. Now, of course, you both played with his dad as well, and of course, his dad was club captain after you, Andy. So, Paul, what was his dad like to play with, and what was he like off the pitch, and what can you tell us about the Haaland family?
Yeah, Erling's everything his dad wasn't. So Erling's a goal scorer, right, left foot, quick, good looking, good mentality. No, Alfie came in and done a really good job for us. He was. And took over the captaincy because obviously Andy had been injured for a long time, and your box-to-box midfielder, loved to get a tackle in, chipped in with the odd goal, and just a really good character. Technically, I can vouch for this myself, maybe he wasn't the best, but what he made up for that was his desire to help people out in games.
What did you make of him? Obviously, following you, because you were injured when he took the captaincy, that's always got to be a bit of a tough one to take on the chin. Yeah,
well, listen, I was out, so I was injured, and Joe came to me and said it's going to be a few months before you're back, and Alfie took the armband, and Alfie was a very private person, very professional, meticulous in the way he carried himself, and I'm sure he would have carried all those qualities, and they'll be ingrained in his son. Super athlete, be able to get around the pitch, and again, a real strong mentality that came from obviously a very strong upbringing, and I think he would have, those qualities will have been passed on to his son, and I think you can see that already when they're together. You see the relationship they have. But no, Alfie was great. He was a good lad as well, and was strong in the changing room.
Yeah, and we're seeing some of these crunching tackles here as well, which of course. And a goal as well. So maybe his son's watching that one back to get some tips off his dad. But yeah, that was my real era of going home and away for City. So I remember that goal and a lot of these games very, very clearly. We're getting to see that a few times. Very nice. Now, we want to know as well your memories, your thoughts on tonight's game. We love hearing from you all. So do get onto our social media. You can use the hashtag WNRH. So tell us what's your thoughts ahead of tonight's games. Show us your pictures. I always love to see your setup at home. What does it look like? Where are you watching from? I also love it as well when we get to see people watching from all around the world. So do get those in. And also, we want to know your favourite European memories for City. So what's your favourite game of recent times, or what is a moment that stands out for you? And of course, we've had a couple of games against Dortmund, and I remember those away fans very, very well. Wow, that wall of fans, that wall of yellow. I remember that night from 2012, I want to say. But gents, do you have any sort of immediate memories that jump out at you, Paul, of City in recent European competition?
I think that the biggest one for me was the PSG game, where we actually won the quarter-final under Manuel Pellegrini. To get into the Champions League semi-final, but I love coming to the Etihad, obviously, when fans were here, and seeing the away fans as well, because the banter between the Man City fans and the fans that had travelled over, it was always fantastic and created a great atmosphere.
Yeah, and I've enjoyed a few games. I bet you have as well. Away legs in the Champions League, and it's similar. It's a great trips. Andy, do you have any favourite memories?
I went to Barcelona twice. And was fabulous, sharing them times with the fans before the game.
Were you going as a fan or
as
working?
As a fan. No, as a fan. and it was brilliant. You know, mixing with the fans in, I think, last Ramblers in the daytime.
Yes, I was there.
Building into the game was magical, but the hardest one for me was being with my son at the Tottenham game at home, where it was just one of the cruelest things that's ever happened to watching my son. Obviously, listen, I'm fortunate to play for the club. My son's a huge fan, and his face and the devastation.
How old was he at the time?
He would have still been in his 20s, but
doesn't matter. Age is nothing on that game.
But no, the way it happened, the cruelty of that last minute, and then the way it was turned around, and you know, we were above the Spurs fans. So yeah, our day will come. Don't worry, we'll be celebrating.
I got goosebumps when you mentioned that Tottenham game, because I still remember how I felt, how I celebrated, and then that it was snatched away from us. Have you had some away trips as a fan, Paul, in the Champions League?
Yeah, I've had quite a few. Very enjoyable ones as well. Probably, you know, a few great ones. Obviously, the most disappointing one, talking about the same season, was the Real Madrid. You know, we went out there with quite a few friends, and we had a fantastic day, great build-up, and then the disappointment of not going through. But look, we've got this tonight. Hopefully by the end, in Istanbul, we're there, and fans can be back in again, because that would just be fantastic.
I went to that Real Madrid game on a day trip, so we flew out from Manchester in the morning, we went to the game, we flew straight back, and that plane on the way back was quiet. But I'd love to go to a European away game with you two, so I'm going to bags that for next season, because I bet that would be a cracker. I'll tell you all where we're going.
We'll save it for Istanbul, and we'll do the show from there. What do you think, guys?
Love it. Done.
I'm in.
Producer Tom says it's happening. We're all booked. I'm joking, but fingers crossed we get there. So it is our quarter-final against Borussia Dortmund tonight, an 8 o'clock kickoff. So you've got about 35 minutes. This is We're Not Really Here. Stick with us as we build up to this game, and I'm getting more and more excited, especially when we look back to the weekend gone. And on Saturday we played third place Leicester in the Premier League, and again I was a little bit nervous before the game. And I really didn't need to be, because we were absolutely phenomenal. What a brilliant game. Obviously, earlier in the season, Leicester had beaten us, and convincingly. But since then, we know that we've been on this phenomenal run. And on Saturday, I just thought we were simply brilliant. Paul, what did you make of it?
I just thought it was a complete performance. You know, they dominated the game from start to finish. And, you know, as you said, I think a lot of people were looking at it with a bit of apprehension the week leading up to it, because, you know, Leicester were in good form, had just beat United in the FA Cup on a bit of a high themselves, pushing for Champions League. And we were just so far ahead of them in every single department, you know. And we know they're a real threat going forward with Jamie Vardy, and Kelechi's been in great form for them. It just didn't give them a chance, and you know, Kevin De Bruyne was outstanding. Gabriel Jesus, one of his best games for us, really stepping up to it. Great to see Sergio back in the pitch as well. And for me, it just sent yet again another little marker out to everybody else in the Premier League about how far ahead we are. You know, because Leicester would have really fancied their chances coming into the game. They would have had a game plan, whatever game plan that Brendan Rodgers would have had, and he's fantastic tactically, just went out the window because we were just so good.
Yeah, we really were, and I liked when Kevin De Bruyne said in his post-match interview that there was only one team playing football, and I think he meant just because we were just so good. And I also felt like we didn't even really get out of second gear, Andy. It's almost terrifying. It feels like we kind of coasted, and we were great.
Yeah, it's listen, it's hard. You know, it's the utmost respect for Leicester, and then you know an underlying feeling of what happened when we played them earlier in the season. So I'm sure the players would have wanted to show where we come from that period, because we go back to that, and it was a really difficult time, and where the club have come from and where they are now is remarkable, and testament to the manager, the strength of the squad, but to the manager and his belief to keep driving and believing, and the way they've turned things around. And now just watching that pass from De Bruyne, which is just remarkable. The great thing is that they actually scored a goal from it, because then you can always go back to the past, because he's done that many in his career and his time at City. But no, it was a tough, really tough day for Leicester. And again, I think there's times where so many clubs will have to go away and look at where they go from, how do they go back to the drawing board, because we're at home, we're third in the English Premier League, we've got a good squad, yet we're being completely dominated, and it's very hard for a manager to come away from that game and not think, how do I go to the next level?
You can't really say, you know, I put the Tottenham game here, and the Everton game that Andy touched on before a few weeks ago, and the Leicester game there, the opposition managed, their teams actually haven't played that badly. You know, they've went out there and tried to do everything they can tactically, what they would have worked on, what they would have spoke about. But we're just that level above everybody else at the minute, and it shows in these sort of games. You know, when teams around us play each other, they're really tight games, you know, because the level's very similar. We've just took it to a completely different level again.
And it's people like Kevin De Bruyne that are kind of epitomising that. What did you think when you saw that pass on Saturday?
It was. You know, he's probably, well, I think he's the only player in Europe at the minute that could have played that ball, or would have tried to play that ball, but the confidence to pull it off. And, you know, when you see it, as soon as he gets in the ball, Gabriel Jesus makes that inside to out run. He knows that he's running into Leicester's 3 centre-halves, but he's still making that run because the one person on the pitch that's got the quality to make that pass is Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah, I love it.
What I like about him most, De Bruyne, Dickie, is his first thought is he'll open his body up with his first touch and look to see if that's on. If it's not on, he'll turn it down and look. But he's always looking and thinking, can I play somebody in? Can I play a forward pass? Can I put somebody in behind? It's not as though he's got the ball and then started looking for it. It's and then he changes his mind from there, and then they'll keep possession. But his intent is to damage the opposition straight away with the first time he gets the ball, whether that's from a wide position in a crossing area or whether it's a penetrating pass. He's such a forward-thinking player.
And you can tell by his teammates, because as soon as he gets the ball, they're in the move and looking to get in behind. If the ball's out wide and he's in the ball, they're looking to get across the near post and get in the box. Because, as you said, you know, he wants to hurt the opposition every time he gets the ball, and his first thought is to go forward.
Yeah, he's magical, and we were lucky we saw so many great performances. He played well on Saturday. I do want to just take a minute to give a shout out to Benjamin Mendy as well. Obviously, we saw him get that goal, great finish, but I thought his overall performance on Saturday was really good. It was solid, and I really hope, and it seems like he's really starting to get that confidence back and looking like he could become that player we all hope that he will be.
It's important about really personal, you know, high standards, and you know, Zinchenko has done really well. When we go with Cancelo, so it's when you do get your chance, you know, you must take it and let remind the manager that you want to be part of the team, because if you drop off, then Zinchenko will take your place the next time, or Cancelo. So again, it's about his own personal, you know, how he sees himself and how he wants to be perceived on the pitch. Because, you know, for me, at times he's not done enough. But what we're seeing is when he's at his best, he can raise to the level. It's important that this football club, with the demands of the manager and the demands of us fighting on four fronts, that every time you put the shirt on, you must be right at the top of your game. And it's a respect for the club, it's a respect for the players around you. And it's great to see that performance at the weekend, because, again, it's like, you know, I got the shirt, you know, don't take it off me. And that's how the mentality has to be.
And I think somebody that epitomises exactly what you were saying there and has done for, I forget what, 9 years I want to say now, is Fernandinho. And I just love seeing him play. I hope he stays with us forever and becomes a coach and whatever he wants to do, because he's just brilliant. And I just thought he was outstanding on Saturday.
He was brilliant, and he has been every time he's been called upon this season, you know, and people are saying that has he got another year in him. The way he's playing at the minute, he's got at least another year in him to go and play. And, you know, we're talking about Rodri before, but what better teacher could you have to play that position than Fernandinho? You know, he's been the best in that position. He's been the best in Europe over the last 6 or 7 years. And I know you wax lyrical about him, so I'll let you continue from there.
I have done for many years. And I remember speaking to Les Chapman after he'd been in a couple of seasons and asking what he was like. And Les said to me, he's the most British Brazilian that you'll ever see. He said the way he carries himself, his mannerisms, his determination. He says afterwards, he said he'll sit and have a pint with me. He said, and he's just an outstanding man. And those qualities of what we've seen now for so long. And yeah, he's tough. He's an incredible footballer. He's got a winning mentality. He's got captain qualities about him, and he has been absolutely outstanding for this football club for over a decade. And, you know, I've been privileged to sit and watch him in the stand and be able to say, like, you know, he plays for the club that I played for.
Just on that, saying about the most British Brazilian, a little story here. He's one of my Max was 18 in lockdown, and if Fernandinho's his favourite player, and Fernandinho found out about it and sent him a message without even asking. I got a video message through and a private message through from Fernandinho wishing Max a happy 18th birthday. I just thought, what a guy, just sums him up.
Yeah, and what that says to me is that Fernandinho understands the club that he's playing for in terms of understands who you are and what you mean to this club and has the respect for you to do that for your son.
I didn't even look at it that way. I just thought, honestly, I just thought, what a lovely gesture. The amount of requests, everything else, lockdowns going on, and to have the thought of sending him a birthday message, I just thought was amazing.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. I love that. I love hearing both you talk about him because I adore him, and he's, what did I say, 35 now, which is young, isn't it, Paul? He's got years left.
Young pup, he is, but the way he's playing at the minute, as I said before, he obviously looks after his body extremely well, but he's playing like a 25-year-old.
Yeah, so that Leicester game made it 26 wins out of our last 27 games. So incredible form, and I just think that was the absolute confidence. The confidence carrying on to come into this game tonight. So less than half an hour until kick-off in our quarter-final against Borussia Dortmund. Now, John Stones, we've talked about him already. He has had an incredible season. He has rejuvenated his career in so many respects, and we adore him. And he's also obviously popped up with a few cheeky goals this season. So City TV had to sit down with him and throw some quick-fire questions his way.
Who was your City debut against?
Sunderland.
John Stones makes his debut after signing from Everton.
What was your first goal for City?
Aston Villa.
Was it Villa?
Oh, sorry, no. Palace. I'm mixed up.
With the outside of the boot, and there's the goal! John Stones!
What was your second Premier League goal for City?
Yeah, Palace.
Swinger there, headed down, nearly a second goal. And it is struck in by John Stones. He's got a brace.
What did you think during your first training session?
Oh, I think it was the players for one. I'd watched them for years before I was even playing, likes of David, Sergio, Vinny. To be training with them and, part of the squad with them was, it was incredible. So, and then the intensity of it, the speed of it, the quality, everything just went up a notch.
What's the best goal you've seen from another City player?
I think I'll go for a big one. When I think we won the league the second time, and it was against Liverpool at home. Leroy's, I don't know if he came off the bench and scored, across the goal, hit the post and went in. It's not a bad one, yeah.
Sterling to Sonny, he's in the box on the left foot, Sonny! It's in the corner! What a finish from the German!
Into the box, dangerous one, turned in by John Stones.
Absolutely love that. John Stones has now scored so many goals, he can't remember them all. We love you, John Stones. And we also love a bit of a competition and a quiz on this show because we're very competitive. And do you know what? Honestly, if I had to choose our two most competitive guests, I would have chosen Andy Morrison and Paul Dickov. So this is going to be fun. We have raised the bar on the last quiz that we did. Today we have for you Dortmund Dunce or Borussia Boffin. Roll titles. Titles.
No expense spared there on them, is there? Beautiful.
Excellent work, team. Right, this is a nice, simple quiz for you both. It's questions about Borussia Dortmund, and you've got it's quite simple. I'm going to give you options, or it's yes or no, and whoever gets the most is going to win. Whoever doesn't is the Dortmund dunce. So we're going to start with Paul, and then we're just going to take turns.
Why are you starting with him?
Because producer
Okay.
Tom told me to. Andy, I'll start with you. I would never do anything that you said didn't say to do.
Home tie already. You've got an advantage already.
Come on.
Okay.
Bring it on.
Is Borussia Dortmund's Westfalen Stadion the largest football stadium in Germany? Yes or no?
Yes.
Andy? You can agree with him, you can go opposite, whatever you fancy.
No.
Okay, the answer is yes.
Had to think about that one there, because they take the seats out, don't they? To get more fans in for the Bundesliga games.
Nice, there we go. Okay, 1-0 to Paul Dickov. Okay, Andy, what year did Dortmund win the Champions League? Now, I'm going to give you an option. Was it 1997 or 1998?
That blows my 2001 theory out the window. 1997 or 98? 98.
Paul, you going to go with that or the opposite?
I'm going to go with 98, because we were actually on pre-season with City, Joe Royal, and I won the sweepstake and the goal scorer. So
you
there
both
go.
go 98?
It'll be 97 now, I've just said that.
It is 97, yeah, unless producer Tom's got it wrong. So it's still 1-0 to Paul. Okay, your first go this one. Paul Lambert won a Champions League winners' medal with Dortmund and also provided an assist in the final against Juventus. But how many seasons did he have at the club? I'm going to give you an option. 1 or 2. Paul Lambert, 1 or 2 seasons at Dortmund.
2.
Andy?
I'm going to have to go with 2.
It's 1. Andy!
Listen, tactically, if I'd gone against him, I could have gone 2-0 down.
Oh, you're right.
So
And there's, there's only 2 questions left.
Exactly.
Oh, it was all He's always thinking tactics.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, Andy, to you. On the 2nd of June 2016, we signed Ilkay Gundogan from Borussia Dortmund. But which club has he played more games for? Is it Dortmund or is it City?
What a great question.
That is a great
How
one.
would I know that? Age. Dortmund.
Okay, Paul.
I'm going to go, I know he said injuries here, but he was injured at Dortmund, and just to disagree with Andy, I'm going to go City.
So you're not thinking tactically? Yeah.
I just want to disagree with the big man.
Great,
Now
that's
that there's a
fine.
bit of distance between us, so you can't grab
although
hold of
I'm
me.
sitting in the middle, so I don't know. So he played 105 games for Dortmund,
Oh, he's done me.
and he played 125 for City so far. 2-0, Paul Dickov. There's
Well
only
done,
one
Paul.
question left,
That's
Andy.
it, I've lost
Oh,
the
there's only
dunce.
one left. We'll do it anyway. And it would be to you, Andy. The Ruhr Derby. Oh, no, it would be to you, Paul. We'll go for Andy first. Give him a chance. The Ruhr Derby is when which of the following teams faces Dortmund? Is it Munich or Schalke?
Schalke.
It is. I guess you knew that one, Paul.
What, you just told him the answer. I could have got it back to 1.
Oh, you've got it. I'm giving you 2-1.
Right, thank you.
2-1.
All right, I've
There you
sold the
go.
duds.
Yeah. So Paul Dickov wins our quiz 2-1. So, do you know, I'm a bit too scared to tell Andy what that means, Paul. Do you want to say it?
Feel free. On you go, Nat.
Andy Morrison is the Dortmund dunce.
Listen, it's an accolade, isn't it? It's something, isn't it?
I hear they only had that one ready anyway, Andy. That's what
I was
producer Tom
slightly
told me.
confused at the start because I thought it was one question. I didn't realise that, that I could have gone because it was obvious that Dortmund was the biggest stadium in.
No excuses, mate. Come on.
It's my fault. I didn't explain the rules. I'll take that, whatever Andy Morrison says. So this week we had the brilliant news that our EFL Cup final at Wembley is set to be among a range of pilot events hosting audiences as part of the government's plan to get big crowds back this summer. The event will be used to undertake studies to get fans and audiences back in safely as restrictions are gradually eased. So I don't know any more details yet. I have been keeping an eye on it. Really hopeful that we might be able to travel from Manchester to the game, but of course we'll let you know as soon as we know. But Paul, it's just so exciting, isn't it? Whoever's going to be there, fans are going to be at football.
It's amazing. Look, it's what everybody's wanted for a long time. We'll understand the reasons why not, but you know, for City fans to be able to go to Wembley, hopefully. You know, it's the second home, really, isn't it, over the last few seasons? And, you know, it was the last actual game with fans in that I went to was the Carabao Cup final last year. So just small little step, but it'll be fantastic, and then we can hopefully get more in and more in. And towards the end of the season, you know, the last home game here against Everton, what a send-off it would be if we had a lot of fans in to say goodbye to Sergio.
Yeah, it was my last game with fans too, the Carabao Cup final last year, so it would just be so fitting. I'm so excited about it, Andy. It's just exciting for the prospect that we're going to get crowds back. And obviously, as a manager, I've seen your team play with no crowds. You'll just know how important that is.
Yeah, of course, and you know it's going to happen. We've been incredibly patient, and it's a start. And you know, and I hope the test event goes well, and there's no problems and no hiccups, and it gradually builds, you know, in towards, as Paul said, to the end of the season, and then it'd be great to start back next season, win it a start as the champions, and all the fans back in. I think it would be a special time for everyone.
Oh, I just wish this place tonight was full, though, gents. Can you imagine this game? I always think about the Real Madrid game last year and how electric that would have been. But, this stadium full of fans tonight would have been magic. And we've already talked about, obviously, the Dortmund fans, how many fans they bring and how loud they sing in that yellow wall that they create. So it would have been a magical European night here, but we will have them back soon. And of course, we know we're all blessed. We all get to watch City live on a regular basis. And we know that so many of our wonderful fans are all around the world. And we love celebrating you, and we love saying thank you to you for watching this show, for supporting City, for just being wonderful. Now, tonight we are going across to Algeria, and we know that you guys are some of the most passionate fans in the world and absolutely Riyad Mahrez mad. So tonight we're going to hear from my friend, it's Walid.
Hi everyone, this is Walid Hope from Tlemcen Citizens branch. To be honest with you, it's my pleasure to be an official supporter club here in my country, Algeria. I've started supporting this team for a long time ago, since the time of the former Algerian player Ali Ben Arbiya and Jamal Belmadi. And to be honest with you, when the Algerian magician Riyad Mahrez came from Leicester and signed with Manchester City in 2018, the popularity of this club increased dramatically here in Algeria, so I decided to create this official branch for the Algerian fans in order to be more close to the club and become one family. So, come on, City!
Thank you very much, Walid, and thank you to everybody in Algeria for your amazing support. And as Walid said, Ali Ben Arbiya there, we all nodded. And I always like to we'll just take a quick moment to say, Ali Ben Arbiya was brilliant, wasn't he?
He was an exceptional talent. Just seemed to rack up at training one day, and it joined in, and then everyone afterwards was like, wow, you know, what a talent.
I mean, he came, it was just like 33, 34 when he came to us at the time. I would love to have seen him play when he was 24, 23, because he's technically, and as a player and as a guy, because he was a fantastic guy as well. He was one of the best players I played with.
I interviewed him once on City Square, and he was just a lovely man. I think he's one of my favourite interviews ever. Obviously, present company excluded there, obviously. We love Ali Ben Arbiya and Riyad Mahrez and Algeria. So thank you so much. Now, of course, before every game as well, we also like to celebrate our younger fans and our junior citizens. And today, the junior citizen of the match is Kayla. She's 9, and she's from Rhondda in Wales.
Go. Hello everyone, my name is Kayla from Rhondda and I am 9 years old. My favourite player is Aguero and I am the junior citizen of the match. Tonight's game against Dortmund. Come on, City!
Yes, I love our junior citizens. They're always super passionate and give us a great cheer. So Kayla, thank you so much for being our junior citizen of the match. We hope you enjoy the game. So if you're just joining us, we are less than 15 minutes till our quarter-final of the Champions League against Borussia Dortmund. We're going to give you a little rundown now of the teams in case you haven't already seen them. Starting, of course, with our starting 11 for City this evening. So, in goal, it is Ederson, and then you have Cancelo, Diaz, Stones, and Walker. And then Rodri, Gundogan, De Bruyne, Silva, Foden and Riyad Mahrez. So that is the starting 11 for City, and the starting 11 for Borussia Dortmund is Heights, Murray, Akanji, Khan, Hummels, Guerreiro, Bellingham, Dahoud, Kauf, Reyes and Haaland. Or Royce even, Natalie. But thank you. I try with my pronunciations, everybody. I hope you think I'm getting better there. So that is the starting 11 for both teams for tonight's game. And as I say, we're about 13 minutes now away from kickoff. So thank you for joining us, if you are. So gents, just before we go on to my very favourite part of the show, which is, of course, Guess the Blue. How have you done this season on it so far, Andy? Because it's been getting tougher, hasn't it?
Been getting a lot tougher. Yeah, we nailed them early on. Missed out on the last one, and ready for this one to get the success back.
Are you feeling confident, Paul? I feel like you're always good at these.
Yeah, I started like Andy. I started off very well. The last few they've been getting tougher, so I think the old producers are trying to make it as difficult as possible for everybody.
Yeah, I think it's because I took the mick out of producer Tom a few weeks ago, and when we saw him before the show, he gave us a sly smirk, so we're probably expecting a tough one tonight. So this is Guess the Blue. It's where we take a former City player, we blur it up, and then we ask you to guess who it is. So take a look at this, and then tweet us using hashtag WNRH. Who do you think it is? At half-time, we'll have another look at it, and we'll read out some of your guesses, and then at full-time, we'll tell you who it is. So here we go. The mystery blue tonight is... Okay. Right. This is tough, I think, because there's immediately at least 2 or 3 names that spring into mind. Andy, I'm going to give you first go. What are you guessing tonight?
It's certainly young.
Yeah.
And I initially went with, so I'm going to stick with it, is Stephen Jordan, young centre-half. So that's what's come to me straight away, so I'm going to go with that.
Andy's going Stephen Jordan. Paul?
I'll stick with my first thought. I think it was Joey Barton, a young Joey Barton. But I can see the Stephen Jordan in there as well.
I think we're both wrong.
I'm undecided, because I definitely... my first instinct
Taylor Bellis,
was...
I'm thinking now as well, after I've just seen that.
Yes, my instinct immediately was... Joey Barton, and then when you said that, I was like, yeah, that definitely could be Stephen Jordan, because Joey Barton makes me think, the way producer Tom is playing with us, that Joey Barton's too easy and too obvious.
Yeah, I think so. It's very young, definitely very young, but yeah, I got a chance.
Right, send us in who you think it is. Use the hashtag WNRH. You're always a lot better than we are as well, so send them in and we'll have a look at half-time. And also, keep sending us in your predictions, your thoughts on tonight's match, pictures of where you're watching, and also your best European memories. And we will be reading some of those tweets out and showing the pictures at half-time. So we're going to have a little look at some of the team news that we've got, because we are kick-off in sort of less than 10 minutes now, probably about 8 minutes away from kick-off. We have talked about the team a little bit, but I also want to highlight, looking at the team. Now, I should say before I say this, that there's 3 Scots sat on these sofas tonight. You can't always hear it in my, well, you can't hear it in my accent at all. You can certainly hear it in the gents. 3 Scots here. So what I'm going to do is ask them about the English players, obviously. So we're looking at that team, and we've got 2 of England's real young hopes across both the teams, obviously with Phil Foden and Bellingham for Dortmund as well, Andy. Have you seen much of the 2 of them playing for England internationally, and what do you think about them in terms of their future hopes for their country?
Well, I've obviously, we've seen Phil now for many seasons, and irregular appearances now for England, and always hoping, coming from City, that he does well, and when he has been fantastic. Hasn't looked out of place, fitted in, and many times he's led, with the quality that he's showing. The lad Bellingham, not seen too much. Obviously watched a cameo appearance in a couple of games ago, but from what we're hearing, the qualities that he has, the all-round midfielder. We're talking about Alfie earlier on, and it's that box-to-box, competitive, comfy in possession, your perfect modern-day footballer, but again, so young.
You watched much of the England games, Paul, or not bothered?
Scotland on, come on.
Of course.
Absolutely. But
keeping one eye open, obviously, because we've got to play them soon in the Euros.
Yeah, I was flicking between both of them, but we all know, we all wax lyrical about Phil all the time, and it's it's great for everybody that he's took that step into the England team now, and he looks as if he's going to be a starter, one of the first names down the team sheet, and he deserves it, because not just his performances for Manchester City, but whenever he's performed for England, he's done it to the highest level. And Jude Bellingham, you know, I've seen quite a bit of him when he was at Birmingham, when he was playing the first team as a 16-year-old, and the one thing that it was his versatility. You know, the 1 week he was playing left back, the next week he was playing centre forward. After that, he was playing in centre midfield. And physically, for a young boy, he's a man already. But the football knowledge that he's got from playing in different positions at such a young age is one of the main reasons why he's down. I know Dortmund, when they signed him, it was one for maybe not this season or next season or the season after. But he's went there and he's impressed that much that he's one of the first names in the team sheet now, which is 17-year-old to go to a club like Dortmund, different country as well. You know, we all talk about foreign players coming here and struggling to settle, but to do that at such a young age is huge credit to him. It just shows you what a talent he is.
What did you think when you saw sort of a 17-year-old English player going across to Germany? And obviously, Dortmund have done it a few times now, sort of snapped up young talent and developed them.
Yeah, I mean, he... you know, they must have been following probably from the age of 13, 14. They would have seen the progression. They would have, you know, they'd have had all the stats on his career all the way through. And, you know, the development to where he went and then broke into the first team, you know, the alarm bells would have gone off. And, you know, and they've got an incredible record for taking players, Jordan Sancho, for one, you know, and then developing them and going on again. But it is, as Paul said, it's so young to be performing the way he is and to have cemented a first team place and staying in the team. And I'm really excited tonight to watch the game to see just what he has, you know, and how he affects our midfield. Right,
it's the worst part of the show. I apologise in advance as always, but I'm going to ask you for your predictions. And obviously it's a tricky one. This is the first leg, so give us your first leg predictions, Paul, and what are you expecting from tonight?
I expect City to start really fast and get Dortmund in the back foot. I think it will be very similar to a lot of the games in the Premier League, where Dortmund will look to sit in deep, you know, with the experience of Hummels at the back, and obviously we've spoken about Haaland a lot and hit City in the break, but we've shown this season that we can handle that now, whereas in previous seasons we've struggled with that a little bit. And, you know, I think just with Dortmund's defensive record and how we're playing at the minute, I'm going to go clean sheet and 3-0.
Oh my God, Paul. Yeah, I know you're optimistic, but wow. Andy, what are you thinking?
I'm going totally against how safe I've always gone in the past. You know, I'm always saying City are good for both teams to score and City win. But I'm going to stick my neck out today. I'm going to go 4-2.
Oh my God, you two are too much for me. 4-2 to City, obviously.
Obviously.
Now, with those away goals, would you be happy with that? Would that be a good first leg result, do you think?
I'd much prefer 2-0, you know, the 2-0 difference. But I've just got a feeling that both teams are going to score tonight. And the way they play, I think, you know, they'll be looking to play on the counter. I think by thinking that they can play deep, I think we're that good at the moment that will open them up, and I think both teams will score. You know, and obviously 4-1, 4-0 will be better. I've just got a feeling that that there'll be a couple of goals conceded.
I'm all over the place in my head now. I'm like, hey, Paul, and I'm like, right, yeah, we're going to win, and then I hear you, and then my head's saying 3-1, 2-0, 3-0. I've not got a clue. Not got a clue, but I am hoping for a City win, obviously, and a great game, and settling these nerves that have been jumping in my stomach all day long. So thank you so much for joining us on We're Not Really Here. As always, we're back here straight away at half-time, giving you instant analysis and hopefully talking about some City goals. And then again, at full-time, we will be reading out some of your tweets at half-time, so keep getting those in, #WNRH. Now, if you aren't watching the game live on television, the best place to get your commentary is on the Manchester City official app. The commentary is by the wonderful Alistair Mann, a true City fan, a brilliant commentator, so I highly recommend listening on the City app. Right, Blues, enjoy the game. We'll see you at half-time.
It's a good run as well. He might go all the way. That's a quite outstanding goal. And then Sterling is fouled, and the referee's given a penalty. Gundogan takes it and scores it. And it might be 3 years. Oh, what a mistake. Bruyne plays it in. City will score the new. dummy, hits the shot, scores the goal. He tees up the shot and it's gone in beautifully from João Cancelo. One of them at pretty good, and Ake, and then Aguero. He's back and he's scoring goals.